How's everyone? Well, thank you very much, everybody. I'm pleased to be joined by our Minister of Energy, Northern Development and Mines, Greg Rickford. Minister Rickford has been hard at work restoring accountability and trust to Ontario's energy system. Today is a good day for the people of Ontario because today is a new day at Hydro One. For years, Hydro One was a prime example of the misspending, the scandals, and the waste. A clear example of the problems that define the Liberals' time in government. During the election campaign, I heard from thousands of Ontario residents. I heard your frustrations with our hydro system, your frustrations with the skyrocketing hydro rates while Ontario families were struggling, forced to choose between heating and eating. A parade of connected energy insiders were getting rich, shamelessly handing themselves more and more of your money in the form of generous pay packages, helping themselves to your hard-earned money while jacking up hydro rates. And on June the 7th, you sent a clear message. The people of Ontario said, enough is enough. My friends, we promised to clean up the hydro mess, and I'm so proud to stand here before you today. I'm so proud to say that is exactly what we are doing. My friends, a new day has dawned at Hydro One. The Hydro One CEO is gone, he is done. And as of yesterday, so is the old Hydro Board. They are gone. In their place, we now have a new board, a great board under the leadership of interim chair Tom Woods, a respected business leader who is already on the job working for you. His work is already well underway. He will recruit a new long-term senior management team for the company, a team that will respect the people of Ontario. A government has also appointed 3 other highly capable board members. A great team who, along with the 6 board members appointed by other investors, are ready to get Hydro One working for the people once again. And today, I'm proud to announce Cabinet has approved the proclamation of the Hydro One Accountability Act, which was passed earlier this summer. Legislation that will rein in executive compensation and provide accountability to the people of Ontario. Legislation that will provide unprecedented transparency at Hydro One, so the shadow games played under the Liberals will never happen again. There are thousands of hard-working men and women who work at Hydro One. They care about our province, and they are proud of what they do. They had nothing to do with a decision Hydro One executives made in the past. But I hope all of them share our confidence in Hydro One's future. Hydro One today is turning over a new page in its history, an opportunity to restore the confidence of Ontario and take charge in getting Ontario's electricity system back on track. As our government works to bring your hydro bills down, this is what we are elected to do, and this is what we will deliver. Minister, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Premier. Our government was elected on a promise to make and take immediate action to address issues with respect to compensation and governance at Hydro One. Today, we are pleased to say, promise made, promise kept. It starts, as it should, with talking about the new interim board, with 4 provincial nominees who were chosen after a thorough, independent search. Notre gouvernement a été élu après avoir promis, entre autres, de prendre des mesures immédiates pour aborder les questions concernant la rémunération et la gouvernance à Hydro One. Aujourd'hui, nous sommes heureux de dire promesse faite, promesse tenue. Cela commence comme il se doit par le nouveau conseil d'administration provisoire, par 4 candidats qui ont été nommés par la province, sélectionnés par suite d'une recherche indépendante exhaustive. In Tom Woods, we have one of Canada's most experienced executives and corporate directors to serve as Hydro One's interim chair. During the course of his 37-year career, he served as head of Canadian corporate banking, chief financial officer, chief risk officer, and vice chairman. Today, he sits on numerous corporate boards and community boards, including the board of Bank of America, one of the world's largest companies. Sherry Brandt is one of Toronto's most accomplished lawyers in the field of Indigenous law, with a focus on commercial real estate, energy, transmission, and First Nations economic development. This includes her instrumental role in the formation of the Ontario First Nations Sovereignty Wealth LP, which today owns approximately 2.4% shares of Hydro One. And, if I may add, as the Minister of Indigenous Affairs, I'm particularly delighted that Ms. Brandt, who is of Mohawk and Ojibwe heritage, has taken on this assignment. She is a real role model for Indigenous peoples in Ontario. Blair Cowper-Smith leads one of Ontario's leading business consulting firms and is a former member of the senior management for OMERS. He is also a former senior partner at McCarthy Tétrault LLP, and he has significant board, governance, and advisory experience. Russ Robertson is the former Chief Financial Officer and former Executive Vice President and Head of Anti-Money Laundering for BMO Financial Group. While at BMO, he oversaw the biggest cross-border acquisition and integration in the bank's history when BMO acquired M&I Bank. Previously, Mr. Robertson spent 35 years as a chartered professional accountant. These board members will be joined by 6 individuals nominated from other investors as detailed in the Hydro One governance agreement. With respect to that agreement and wider governance at Hydro One, I'd like to highlight the new transparency and accountability measures that are now in place. First, we will be requiring Hydro One Board of Directors to establish a completely new compensation framework for the board, CEO, and other executives. This framework will require the express approval of Cabinet, and, as long-term protection to ratepayers, Cabinet will retain the authority to issue directives governing board, CEO, and executive compensation at the company until January 1st, 2023. Second, Hydro One will be required to annually publish on its public website a record of the total annual compensation paid in the previous year to executives as defined by the Act. Third, requiring Hydro One to provide at least 30 days public notice for any changes that it wants to make to its compensation framework. And fourth, providing my office with jurisdiction to seek and receive financial and employment information as it pertains to Hydro One executives. Folks, these measures are practical responses to the excesses that we saw under the previous government. They allow Hydro One to continue to operate independently in the marketplace with an executive management team that has the authority to make good strategic decisions. We're taking action to restore the public's faith and confidence in our electricity system. By enhancing transparency and accountability at Hydro One, we are sending a clear message to the entire energy sector that for our government, respect for the people, respect for the ratepayers comes first. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity, Mr. Premier.
Questions at the mic?
Great job.
You've said many times that this is for the Premier, that you're pro-business and pro-market, but you've now proven that you're willing to interfere quite dramatically with a private company. Is that the message that you're sending to private business, that you'll be taking the strong approach for the next 4 years?
Well, let's be very clear. Hydro One is not a private company. We're the largest shareholder, and our responsibility and the minister's responsibility is to stand up and speak out for the shareholders. And that's exactly what we've done. As they continue to increase their salaries and people are struggling to pay their hydro rates, and as we crisscross this province and we talk to residents and we talk to business owners, the number one issue was hydro rates. It made us uncompetitive in business. People were struggling to pay their hydro bills. As I said, they were choosing between heating and eating, and we made the appropriate changes. This is going to be great for the ratepayers, business and residents across this province. There's going to be a lot more transparency and accountability. There's not going to be any more backroom deals that the compensation gets doubled, the compensation increases. Those days are done. The last checks of the Wynne Liberals are done. There's a new day is dawn on Hydro One, as I said. And we're going to move in a positive direction, and we'll never forget to respect the taxpayers.
But others in industry are concerned about government interference because of this. What are you telling them? Is the government going to be interfering in how they do their business in the province?
Well, let me tell you something. I've talked to the largest automotive manufacturers. I've talked to the largest retailers. I've talked to some of the largest investors in the world right here in the province of Ontario. They are so positive. There's such a buzz in the air of confidence, opportunity that this province has never seen. They're excited about the new government. They're ecstatic about the new government. Matter of fact, I have yet to meet any business owner, no matter if it's a small business owner with 2 or 3 employees or business owners that have tens of thousands of employees. There's a sense of confidence that I've never seen in this province in decades.
Hi, Premier. Earlier this week, your Health Minister, Christine Elliott, said that there's no question that supervised injection sites or overdose prevention sites save lives. Since then, the Toronto Police have handled a rash of overdoses, including 7 that have been fatal. We've heard there have been more today. Is that enough evidence for you to conclude that Ontario should allow overdose prevention sites to continue?
Yeah, you know, it's a terrible tragedy, what we're seeing across our country and what we're seeing right here in Ontario. Our goal as a government is to get people off drugs. Our goal is to make sure people get rehabilitated. And the Minister of Health, Christine Elliott, I think is doing an incredible job in the ministry, the largest ministry that we have in Ontario. And I've always said from day one, we're going to reach out to the experts and get their input.
Can I just ask you to clarify that if the experts tell you that, yes, they save lives, is that enough for you to say, yes, we'll keep them in Ontario?
Well, let's cross that bridge when we come to it. We will reach out. I've given everyone my word. We're going to reach out. But our main goal, again, is to save lives. Just to remind everyone, we're putting $3.8 billion, 1.9 from the province and 1.9 from the feds, in rehabilitation, helping people with addictions, mental health, and housing. And a good chunk of that $3.8 billion will be going for housing for people with addictions, because that's the #1 critical area. When I talk to people in this field, the experts, they've told me, Doug, when someone comes to you and they need help, they can't wait 2 or 3 days for housing. They need housing immediately. And right now, under the previous government, we don't have the beds. We need the beds. We need the housing. There's no one in Ontario that wants to help these people more than I do. You know, I get it. Addiction is terrible. It affects families, and it's a tragedy. People are losing their lives. We also have to work with our police to stop these drugs, these killer drugs. It's absolutely terrible. But I can assure you we will be listening. Thank you.
Premier, what's your expectation on your new board members in terms of setting a ceiling for salaries for the CEO and the senior executives at Hydro One?
Well, I'm going to pass that over to the minister here.
Thank you for that question. We've been very clear that moving forward we have a framework in place and the right leadership team that will respect the ratepayer first and foremost, that broader message to the energy sector. And obviously under the Act, we'll move forward to be keeping a very close eye on this and having some authorities until, as I said before, to 2023, January 1st. I think the more important message is that these rates were well out of line in keeping with what ratepayers would expect for a company whose largest shareholder is the ratepayer, is the Ontario taxpayer, and that we would focus, once the renewed leadership was in place, on a responsible approach to corporate governance and ensuring that we achieve our goals, the collective interest not just of the government, but for folks with families, people renting apartments, and small and large businesses to have an affordable rate of hydro, and it starts with setting the tone and sending a message that compensation frameworks would form part of the platform right out of the starting gate.
So did you have a specific dollar figure in mind? I'm wondering, CEO of OPG is around 1.5. Is that too high? Do you want to see less at Hydro One?
Well, look, I'm not going to comment on specific figures. What's important with respect to comparators is the essential idea that if you serve the ratepayer in Ontario to the tune of 1.5 million people or 5.1 million people, you'll act responsibly to respect and protect the cost of electricity. And that starts with a responsible corporate governance structure and framework and a team that's committed to ensuring that that happens. Thank you.
Premier, the previous Liberal government was criticized for not declaring a state of public emergency to deal with the opioid issue. To this point, your government's declined even to use the word crisis to describe it. After seeing the type of notice that the Toronto Police put out yesterday, why are we not in a state of public emergency?
Well, my friend, I think at this point it's an absolute tragedy. I can't remember ever in recent memory of these many overdoses. We're working hand in hand with not only the Toronto Police, the OPP, other regions of the police, to track down where all these drugs are coming from. You got to go to root cause. But I'm not disagreeing that this is a major, major crisis. It's all hands on deck. It's not just the government, it's the police, it's the agencies, it's the experts. And we all have to work together. I wish we could all stand here and just snap our fingers and stop this crisis, as you said. And we're doing that. We're letting the rubber hit the road. We're doing everything we possibly can. We'll put more funding towards this and moving forward in the future than any government in the history of Canada. We're taking this seriously, very serious. And we're going to do everything we can as a government to work with other agencies, with experts, with police, right across the board to make sure we get a handle on this. But I don't disagree. It's a tragedy. You look at the number of deaths across the country, and I actually, this is a big topic with the Premier's meeting. BC's in the same boat as we are, but now it's moving right across the country, and Ontario is seeing the same amount of deaths. We all want to work together. All premiers want to work together when we sat down in New Brunswick. So, my friend, make no mistake about it. We're going to do everything in our power to help people get off drugs, get rehabilitated, and carry on a proper life. And I appreciate the question.
Premier, what is your plan when it comes to uploading Toronto subways to the province? Are you also going to take control of the land, the valuable land and air rights on the subway properties? Toronto Mayor John Tory today said that he doesn't want to be sideswiped again. He wants to be consulted, unlike when you decided to slash Toronto City Council.
Well, you know, we're coming up to a municipal election, and I'm sure everyone's going to have their point of view. I know our minister was over there speaking to the mayor, and we're going to work hand in hand with not just Mayor John Tory, if he is the mayor in October, but other mayors in the region. We said we believe in a regional transportation system, and that's what we're going to provide. We're going to provide a regional transportation system, but we are going to consult with the regions across the GTA, along with Toronto, because Toronto, we're in gridlock right now, but it's not just Toronto, we're in gridlock. A lot of you live out in the GTA, no matter if it's Burlington or Mississauga or Oakville or Brampton, it's jam-packed. Unless you wake up at 5:30 in the morning, you know, if you're 15 minutes late on that 5:30 to 6 o'clock, you're in traffic for an hour. You're done, like dinner.
Revenue neutral for Toronto? Will it help Toronto? Will it hurt Toronto? Like, what will this mean financially for the city if you take over control of the subways?
Well, Cynthia, I think, you know, when we take over something as large as transit, I think it's nothing but a benefit to the city of Toronto. We're taking this off their shoulders, and the reason we're doing it, as I've said all along, for 12 years, we just can't seem to get transit built in the city of Toronto. I said it before, David Miller couldn't do it, my own brother couldn't do it. He could save money, but he couldn't build transit, and John, he hasn't had an opportunity, or I should say Mayor Tory, hasn't had an opportunity to even put a shovel in the ground. And I'm not blaming him, by the way. It's a dysfunctional system down there, dysfunctional council. But hopefully it'll run a little smoother with 25 councillors, and we'll be able to get things done. But we're going to work hand in hand with the TTC as well. I think TTC does a great job, and the employees do a great job, especially in operating. I believe other people can build subways a lot more efficiently, but make no mistake about it, TTC, good organization, had an opportunity to chat with the new CEO. He seems like a very capable person. And I just look forward to working with the regions. And I think when we join up all together, we're going to have a great regional transportation system that gets people from point A to point B in a rapid fashion.
This is either for you, Premier, or for the Minister. I'm wondering if by changing the board midway through the merger with Avista, the government is essentially scuttling the deal. It seems like the deal said that any change in control with Hydro One meant the deal was off the table. So can you speak to whether changing the board means the deal is done?
Well, I appreciate the question, but there's no space for a political commentary right now on a deal that's before regulators in the United States. And we're confident that the ongoing independent nature of Hydro One moving forward and the new leadership that it's under will make responsible business decisions to that end. Thank you.
Has your government's actions forced the change?
Well, again, this is not an opportunity to make a political commentary on a business decision that was made under the previous leadership and that was put to the regulators in at least a couple of different states to consider. We're confident that the leadership team of Hydro One will continue making decisions around business units and strategic business decisions here in Canada and beyond its borders. Thank you.
All right, last question. To the Premier, the Mayor of Toronto said today that the city might have an arguable case if it chooses to challenge Bill 5 in court. I'm wondering, are you confident that Bill 5, the law, will actually survive a court challenge?
I can't speak for the courts or the judges. I'm just speaking on the province's behalf. Again, Toronto and other regions are a creature of the province. And let's make no mistake about it. I've known the mayor for 25 years. He knows he's going to get the more efficient government with 25 councillors. He knows it. I know it. The people of Toronto know it. And, I'm not going to get into politics, especially when the municipal election is going to be in October. He can parade up and down and do this. I can assure you, the mayor will be able to run City Hall, no matter if it's Mayor John Tory or another mayor, a lot more efficiently with 25 people than 47. It's common sense. Any corporation, good governance is 7 to 9 people on the board. You could have 20 of the brightest people around the board table. Things don't get done. And we've seen it year after year after year. We have 25 MPs. We have 25 MPPs. We're going to have 25 councillors. And the councillors are going to have they're going to be able to have their constituency office. They're going to have a little more staff. This is about driving efficiencies throughout the city. And Colin, you've been down there for years, and Cynthia, and you walk away sometimes, you shake your head when they debate, and everyone's seen this, they debate for 10 hours about Mrs. Jones' cat caught in a tree. And then after 10 hours, we all vote together. I lived it. It's not efficient. If it was efficient, I'd say, yeah, do 47. But it's going to run a lot more efficiently, and we'll see how this election turns out with the Toronto election and the other elections.
There is another court challenge, though, in front of Ontario Superior Court that argues that the government has the right to do this because, as you said, it's a creature of the provincial government, but the timing to do this in the middle of an election campaign, it should be punted down to 2022. Do you feel like the province has a leg to stand on when it comes to that particular argument?
Well, the local councillors, almost half, I think I counted 18 of them, were in favour of this. Really, it's one special group of the downtown NDP councillors. They're all jumping up and down, trying to save their own jobs. Again, the city's going to run a lot more efficient with 25 councillors. And I can't speak for the courts, Colin. The judge is going to have to make that decision. I'm just getting the input from our legal team here at the province. and it's going to be a good thing. It's going to be a great thing. Matter of fact, out of all these years I've been in politics, and we've done so many different things, I've never had a more positive response from people, not only in Toronto, but right across the GTA, than reducing the size and cost of government when it comes to the city of Toronto. But everyone knows it's a dysfunctional system down there, and I'm confident, no matter who the mayor is, they're going to be able to streamline the system and get things moving for once and for all down at the city of Toronto. Another question? Taking one more? We're good? Everyone happy? Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks,